Hi, everybody. Welcome to the M&M Show, Mentorship Monday with all things metaphysical, spiritual, and Maren and I'm Michelle. This is Maren. We're so happy to see you guys
Hello.
again. Hi, Maren.
Hi, Michelle. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Absolutely fantastic today. A little tired from the week. I could use a little more sleep, but other than that, I'm good. I'm good. How about
Good.
you?
I am doing really good. I feel like I have been getting good sleep, so that's
Oh,
good.
good.
And
Good.
I gosh, I have been trying so unsuccessfully to get up before work to work out.
Yeah.
And then I just created a personalized ringtone. Um, so like you do a voice recording, I voice recorded myself saying, "Get up. It's time to wake up. It's time to do yoga. Don't forget how good it feels. Feels better
Yeah.
than a cup of coffee. Like it's the best way to
Yeah.
start your day. The hardest part
Yeah.
is getting out of bed." And that is now my alarm. I've tried everything. I've tried happy songs. I've
Yeah.
tried annoying songs. I've tried like a meditation song. Nothing
Mm-hmm.
gets me out of bed. For some reason, telling myself my goal and how my goal feels and why I'm doing my goal right out of bed.
Good for
So
you. Good for
yeah, so I'm
you.
really excited. So I'm
That is
like
very good.
finally feeling like I'm making progress on a personal goal. So I'm excited.
That is very good. And yoga is an awesome, now I don't do yoga. I like certain stretches, but I know how good yoga feels when I do it. Um, but I was listening to a spirit in a session this week and was talking to somebody um about yoga and how they had a lot of stuck energy and they were in a place where they weren't able to do high impact, any kind of high impact or walking or anything. And they said, the spirit said to do yoga and to have the intention of moving energy as you move your body, yoga and Tai Chi, actually, for
Yeah.
moving a lot of energy. So if anybody's feeling that they have some stuck energy right now, or they need to work out that energy, sorry, I can't talk, work that energy out of their body, yoga, and I mean yoga for beginners. Like that's what I do. Yoga for
Oh yeah.
beginners.
Like
Yeah.
relaxation yoga,
Yeah.
slow flow
Yes.
yoga,
Yes.
vinyasa,
Yes.
vinyasana. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Vinyasa yoga are
Yeah.
all like super easy yogas to get into, and they do.
Yes.
It's just like there's something about like breathing with the movement, and it's just like Tai Chi that it just
Yes.
feels so good.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So
So
what's on
highly
the
recommend.
agenda today?
Well, I wanted to tell you about this amazing podcast that I listened to yesterday. It was
Okay.
so good that I emailed my husband and his brother because they are on a trip together right now. So that way, both when they drive home, they can both listen to it.
Oh, excellent.
And I'm going to send it to my mom and my sister and my brother-in-law because I feel like they all need to listen to it.
Yeah.
I'm going to send it to you, Michelle.
Okay, I was gonna say, am I on the list? Can I
Okay.
have it too?
Yeah, I will put it in the show notes so everyone else can
Okay,
listen to it.
good, good.
I just found it supremely interesting. It was very cool. It was about happiness. And so maybe our listeners have already heard of this the person that was getting interviewed. His name is Mo, and I don't know if I'm saying his last name correctly, but Gadat,
Okay.
Gawdat. But he is like super duper smart, and he works or worked for. He was the chief executive officer at Google X. So of
Okay.
course he's like extremely smart, and he somehow came up with this equation for happiness, which is so interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
The podcast is called The Diary of a CEO. It's really good.
Oh, cool.
I like a
Okay.
lot of his
I've
guests.
never heard
He's
of
a
him
very
before.
thoughtful interviewer. Yeah. And so then his guest was Mo Godot. And even this interviewer was like, this is one of my all-time favorite guests. This was my favorite episode. I just highly, highly, highly recommend you listen to this. And I've liked all of his guests. So I was very, like skeptical. How could
Yeah.
somebody be better than everybody else you've already had? And
Yeah.
he was. So
Yeah.
highly recommend the podcast.
Very
But
cool.
yeah, so he's like he must have been like a programmer or a designer or something, but he said he came up with the happiness equation the same way that you would like compute or like type the software for like a program is the same like method that he used to come up with this happiness equation. So
Interesting.
isn't that interesting?
It is
Like
very
how you can get
interesting.
so like left brained about like a right
Yes.
brained topic kind of a thing, you know?
So how did he okay, so he how did he bridge one to the other though? Like was there something that he experienced? Was there like what was the like
So
was
he
this
says,
always an interest of his or like what's the
yeah. So he
connection?
says, like treat your thoughts like or he said he was like the boss of the bosses, right? And he said, what do all the bosses do? They always complain. So treat your thoughts like the bosses that he used to work with. And he said, what I used to do is I'd let him complain a little bit. And then I would ask him, is it true? And then I would ask him, can you solve this? Can you be productive with
Yeah,
this thought or complaint?
right.
And so he basically says, like, what is happiness? Well, you're happy until you're not. Like you have a complaint or there's like
Yeah.
a roadblock in your path, right?
Yeah.
Like there's no like money is happiness because that's not true. Or like sunny day is happiness because what if there's no rain? Then you're not happy about the sun. Like,
Yeah.
so basically you have a mindset of what you're going on and then you hit a roadblock and that's unhappiness. And so he says you do those three things and it puts you right back on the path to happiness. So like say you want a clean house, that's your desire. Your husband doesn't load the dishwasher, right? So first you let your brain, as he says, you are not your thoughts. He even calls his thoughts, I can't remember, like Betty or something like that. Like he very much
I like that.
disassociates from his thoughts.
Yeah.
Like there's him and then there's his thoughts.
Yeah.
And so he says, let yourself kind of, complain a little bit. Like, oh, my husband's lazy. He never loads the dishwasher. He never helps out around the house. And then you ask yourself, is that true? Well, no, it's not true. He mows the lawn. He helps with this and the little chores with that. He does, he does do the dishes sometimes. Like, no, he's really not lazy. Like, so it's not true. All those thoughts that you just thought. And then can I do something about it? Like, okay, well, I guess I can ask him to put the dishes in the dishwasher, or I guess I could just do it too because he helps out around the house in so many other ways. Or I can, put up a sign or whatever. We can get into a routine as a family, whatever you game plan as your solution. You need to come up with a
Yeah.
solution, and that should put you back on the track for health, for happy. So,
Isn't that interesting? But did
yeah.
he like my question is did he like was he always like because of his job like was that his focus or did he go through like did he have a life experience or something that happened to kind of get him into it to wanting to share this with more people? Like what
Okay.
is there a
What was his job? Yeah.
catalyst? Yeah.
Yes. So, he said the catalyst was when he was 27, he had like hit every, he was probably already working for Google then. He had hit every like, high. He had the beautiful mansion on the water with every fancy thing you could ever imagine. At 27, I can't imagine.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
I know, like what a privileged, straight to
Yeah.
success life there.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at 27, he had everything that money could buy. And he was depressed and he was unhappy. And so since he
Yeah.
was a researcher, he started to research this. What is happiness? How do you define happiness? How do I get to the point of being happy. Like, how do I become happy? And so he was very, and he, like, of course, I think like all like super um, uh, successful people, like he's just kind
Yeah.
of almost like manic about his projects, you know, like he's very
Yes. Yeah.
like
I feel that. Yeah.
aggressive in how he researches and whatnot. And anyways, and so he would research, and he had two children, and he would tell his son, like, you know, this is what you need to do to be happy, and da 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 da. And his son would look at him and be like, I already knew that. Like, Dad, you just do blah 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 blah. And his son was like this little guiding light, like this little like young Buddha. Like he was just
Yeah.
so, you know, like way beyond his years with like
Yeah.
understanding happiness. Um he was like, you know, I would figure everything out from the left brain, and my son would figure out retell me everything through the heart. And
Yeah.
so I thought that was like just such a like a little beautiful balance.
Yeah.
um but anyways, so one his son was like 22 maybe, and he I think he must have come home for college. I don't remember like the details of the story, but his son came home, and he had a infection, like a kidney infection or appendix infection, some kind of like infection that was like very routine. Just go to the doctor. They do the, you know, gallbladder surgery, appendix surgery,
Yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
One of those organs that you don't need. They just take it out when it's
Yeah.
infected.
Yeah.
Everything's good. Everyone, you know, survives. But unfortunately, he said they made 5 mistakes, and each mistake was preventable, and he died during the surgery. Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. And so he said that he had all this information, but then to honor his son's legacy, he wanted to disperse the information so that it would um, honor his son's legacy, which is really beautiful. But what is so interesting and kind of aligns with our show, because I completely thought this, um, there's a little metaphysical side to this
Yeah.
story.
Yeah. Always.
Um,
Always. Always.
always is. He said, like 3 days after he died, his daughter came to him and said, Hey, I need to tell you a story, and I think that you would really want to hear this story. And so he was like, okay. And his daughter said that the son had a dream 3 days before he died. And it was such a profound dream that had such a profound impact on him that he told his sister about it. And he said, I had a dream where I was everywhere and everything, and it felt so good. I didn't want to leave. And then it's just weird that 3 days later he dies in a surgery. And so it made me think about, and so then that's what prompted the dad to write a book and get this information out to
Okay.
everyone and everywhere. And that was kind of like the son's legacy, and why
Okay.
he felt like he wanted the son to be everywhere and everything through this book. But
Yes.
truly,
Yes.
what I feel the son dreamt about was like our eternal spirit, and that when we go on, we become everyone and everything. And he
Yes.
felt that, because
Yes.
I love near death experiences. And that's what they say in those near death experiences, is that I felt so expansive. I felt so like this everywhere, everyone, everything feeling. And then you have to go back into your body, and it feels so confining, and you feel so trapped. And
Yeah.
so I feel like that is what this boy went through
Yes.
in his dreams, which is kind of incredible. I don't know if they were preparing him
Well,
or what,
I gotta
but I
tell you,
do feel
I got a lot of tingling going on here. You finish. You
okay.
finish,
Yeah.
because I can feel some stuff coming in.
Well, no, no, no. You tell me, because that's really the story.
Well, what was coming through just as you were talking there was because there's really no one size fits all with how all of this goes. You know, there's commonalities, so there's going to be people that have similar experiences, and but because we are all individual, our experiences are all individual, and that was an exit point for him. that was a check-in, and he had that experience as a preview because he it, there's a couple of reasons why he had it in dream state and why he remembered it so well. And part of that was so that he would tell, so that he would talk about that before there was any transition take place. Because look at the domino effect to the father, and I feel others as well. But for the sister to be able to say that, knowing that that was something important to be able to say, to let them know that he was happy, that he was safe, that he was everywhere and everything, because that was such a very clear, prominent statement to make. But that I feel that he had a choice in spirit, that his higher spirit had a choice, and that was a gift left behind for his family to let them know not only was he okay, but to be a catalyst for his father to expand even further into the world, because that son is a guiding light, and that's exactly what he's doing on the other side. Is he's
Mhm.
guiding his father's journey and sharing with everyone everything everywhere. That's pretty incredible. There's a lot of I'm not sure if that's his energy here, if the father, because I can feel a lot. There's more than one that stepped in here, so but there's a lot of
I
strong
like
energy
got
as you're
head to toe
talking.
goosebumps. When you started
Yes.
talking, I had head to toe goosebumps, and I was like, "Oh, wow, this is different. Like, what is this?"
Yes.
So yeah, I
Yes.
feel the energy as well. Um, I don't know if it's him. Maybe he is everywhere, everything. That's why I got full body goosebumps. I don't know, but
Yes. Yes, and it's funny because that's what I was just told is, I am, because I'm like, "Who is it?" And I just got, "I am everything. I am
oh,
everything." Yeah.
I
Yeah. So
love that.
that's pretty incredible. It's amazing, and sometimes we hear these things, we wonder, why does one have the experience that way and why another one doesn't? But it's that synchronicity, that domino effect of, why things happen. Why do they happen the way they do? And his father had an opportunity to take all of his knowledge and all of his experience and spread it out there. Are there more books from him? Like, does he have other
Okay,
books or
so
anything?
yes. So Solve for Happy is, I believe, the book that talks about the algorithm of happiness.
Right.
But he also has that little voice in your head and Scary Smart. I don't know if those all pertain to the same topic or if
Right.
they're different. They do seem to, I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyway, but he does talk about, and you guys just have to listen because this was, I think it was almost
Yeah.
like a 2 hour interview. So I can't sum
Yeah.
it all up.
Yeah.
But there were just so many more concepts that he had about happiness and like what it takes to be happy that I thought were
Yeah.
so, um, I don't know what you call it when you're mind shifting, right? Like just
Yes.
like
Yes. Yes. Your
perspective
your
on things.
perspective. And
Yes.
that's truly, what are we all really looking for while we're here? What are we all looking for? We're looking for happiness, for peace, to be
Yeah.
able to exist in this world with a sense of calm. And
Yeah.
I've heard so many people say, if I could only just feel a little bit better, if I could only feel a little bit of happiness, because that
Oh
is
my
such a
gosh.
struggle for so many people.
It is, and they need to listen to him because he's like, you're all going to hate me, but it's happiness is a choice and it's your choice to choose to be happy. And, he'll say things like, well, people will come up to me and they'll say, well, how can I be happy when this happened to me? And, and um, I think he says it really best when he's like, losing a son is, he goes, no, all the riches I've ever made and all the success I've ever had in business, I would trade it all to have him back. Like
Yes.
it's one of the worst things I've
Yes.
ever gone through. Or is the worst thing I've
Yes.
ever gone through, but one of the worst things I can
Yes.
imagine for a person is what he was saying.
Yes.
And uh, I just felt like a little tap. So I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah. I think we
totally
have a
done now.
visitor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyways, oh my gosh, that totally got me off track. But
Yeah.
I know I'm like, should we be talking about you more?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
sorry. Um,
A little distracting. Yeah, it's pretty strong, isn't it? It's pretty strong because
yes,
as you're talking, I feel like I'm daydreaming off a little bit because like that energy is coming in and just kind of like leaning right in here and
yeah, I'm feeling
quite
so
strong.
pulled, and it like
Yeah.
completely
Yeah.
just wiped
Yeah.
my thought
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
So, but what I wanted to talk to you about today, that was kind of like just the little blurb, like please,
Yeah.
the PSA announcement, please go listen to this podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it made me think about near death experiences. I am
Mm.
so um enamored by near death experiences. I
Yeah.
just love them. I love, and it's so funny. Someone said like near death, listening to near death experiences is like the gateway drug to spirituality. And I like 100% totally agree. I feel like there's
Yes.
so much you can learn from
Yes.
near death experiences.
Yeah.
And I know, Michelle, you probably have had experience with people who have talked about them, but anyways, if
Yes.
you could just enlighten us a little, because I really,
I
I don't know.
agree. I love them. I love hearing them. I think they're definitely they're divine blessings. I know many people that have had them that have spoken to me. Um, some have come back and really gone through a very hard time afterwards because it's difficult for them to integrate back into life again after that experience because they feel that draw to being there, that peace, that why couldn't I just go? Why couldn't I be
Yeah.
there? So there is that side of things. But I remember um, when I was going through my chemo treatments and everything, I had a lot of days laying in bed sick. And I watched a lot of paranormal stuff and I watched a lot of near death experience stories. That was really and was that a gateway? Absolutely. Because I just became so invested in these stories and I was so curious because at this time I may have had my experiences, but I wasn't hearing Eric clearly. I wasn't in that place at all. And so the questions that were coming up in my mind were, of course, things like, why does one person have an experience like this? And why do all these people say it happens this way? And why does this person say it happens that way? And of course, through the course of my own experiences with spirit and many channelings, um, what they say is that the experience of the afterlife is so connected to our belief system of what we experience here. So if somebody's belief system is based in religion and that's where their connection is, then
Mhm.
their afterlife, their connection will be greeted like say they're very connected to Jesus. Jesus will be there. And it's not that that's not real. It's that each of us, it's like a having a higher percentage in your auric field, a higher concentration of energy in one area that manifests into our afterlife, right? So, why do they happen? Like, why do so many happen? Well, from what Spirit says, they happen all the time and we don't always remember. So, a lot of the near death experiences that we see the stories of are stories of somebody who actually had an accident. An angel lifted them from a car, or they died on an operating table, or all of these type of things. Well, those are often the ones that have contracts where something is going to happen, where they're going to have an opportunity at an exit point where they will come back because the purpose of that is to share. The purpose is to share with others. And it is like many of us in so many different states, whether we're in mediumship or teaching consciousness or sharing our experiences, the near death experience, it is that sharing that we are not the physical body. that the physical
Yeah.
body is merely, we are a vehicle. This is a vehicle. And
Yeah.
we are projected into this body for a period of time here on earth to experience. And when this time is over, we will return. That part of us that's projected here returns back to our higher soul, our spirit, however we would like to describe it. But
Hmm.
what they've said is there are many times, whether we are in our sleep time, surgeries. It could be even something that we don't remember. It could be something that happens. And this, again, I mean, we do have to have a conversation about quantum physics and about quantum realities and that sort of thing, because even as we talk about this, are you switching a timeline? Did something happen, a decision, something happen, and you're rewrote it on a different timeline? And then on another timeline, you didn't. You physically left the earth. So those things do happen. A lot of that has come through in many readings. And so in those instances, if it were something that we brought back as a memory and we could share as a near-death experience, but these are things that happen to us all the time, because each one of us, we are not existing in one linear timeline. We do not. We are consistently, as we make choices and changes, and a lot of times where timelines split is where there might be something a little bigger. Maybe a choice that has a little more weight to it, where we will merge into another timeline. And I've told this story to you before, and I'll say it again for all those that didn't hear. But one time early in my journey, I woke up in the middle of the night to go to the washroom. And when I got up and started to walk, I'm looking around as I'm walking to the washroom, and there's green lines, like moving lines everywhere. And it looked like graph paper, like a grid. And it was around me. And when I would move my arm or move, it would move with me. So it was like it was connected to me, but it was shooting out around me to everything. It was going through the walls everywhere. And what I had learned about that afterwards was that that was like our super consciousness, our grid, that how everything is all connected. But they also showed me, now this all came in about a year afterwards, so it didn't come in all at once. It was bits and pieces that I was getting. And these were all timelines as well. So, I might be focused in a timeline, but as things change, so as our vibration changes, we have the ability to switch timelines as well, which could be a whole nother topic.
Oh my
But
gosh.
the NDEs, the near-death experience, for the core understanding of it, is often an experience that somebody has where their consciousness, where they knowingly have left their physical body, and they're bringing back a clear memory of the experience of seeing themselves, of seeing their own body. And there's like a consistency that come with many of them, which are, I saw my physical body. I was above my physical body. I was hovering. There was this ever presence of love. There was this connection of love that was undeniable. Um, and with the ones, because there are some that come back and their experience wasn't that way. And what Eric is just saying right now, there's so many reasons why it happens. And sometimes we bring back information that changes our life, that changes somebody else's life. What about the hundreds or thousands of people that may end up hearing our story and how that affects or changes them? Because again, we're all connected. We're all
Hmm.
connected. So it's another avenue that spirit uses to be able to express that we are greater than our physical body.
Yeah. What I think is really interesting too is that they'll talk about like it taking a while to integrate their experience. And they use that as in because no one either believes them or they
Yeah.
felt it was a dream state or they like
Yes.
there's just no place in our belief system for that,
Yes.
unless
Yes.
maybe you're in another country but or other side of the world. But
Yes.
um so like I know like a lot of near death survivors, they'll hold on to that for like some will have a near death as a kid, remember everything, or maybe not even remember everything, but then something will trigger it later as an adult, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I had this near death experience." Or some will remember it but not remember all of it, and then as they feel like they're getting validated, it will um, kind of unravel and
Yeah.
reveal itself, which I thought is so interesting because I thought that you have a near death experience, you wake up and then you remember it right away. And some people don't because it's
Yeah.
such a, you know, there's no place
That's right.
for
That's
that
right.
experience,
That's
which
right.
is so interesting.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people that work in the medical field that experience this from the other perspective of hearing patients speak or talk about some of the things that they've experienced. And, um, I've spoken to some people in the medical field that they can't deny. They can't deny the things that happen. You know,
Hmm.
people coming back and starting to speak about things that they experienced while they were um, gosh, I'm thinking of one right now, and actually this one wasn't one personal, but I'm thinking of one right now where there was a woman that trying to think, I think it was a woman, man or woman, but anyway, it was she had gone to the top of a building, the top of the hospital, and seen a pair of shoes that were up there, and I guess she told the nurses or told the doctors, and they were just saying that she was out of it. It's medication, it's this, it's that. And she says, "No, I saw this shoe. It's up on the top of the hospital, like up on this floor." And sure enough, somebody had gone up and had seen it, seen the shoe up there. But there's a lot of people in the medical field that do, there's YouTube channels and different people that talk about it, whether they're on hospice or they talk about near death experiences that their patients speak of that often get discounted. But it
Hmm.
definitely, I know of a lot of folks that really that was a big eye opener for them at the beginning of their awakening was um, oh, truly understanding um, really the depth of what a near death experience is.
Yeah. Oh, that's crazy. That reminds me of I had this dream last week where I died in my dream. And I like, those like highway, I know, those highways where like to get onto another highway, there's that like that one little bridge kind of road that goes up so high and it turns you onto
Yes,
like another highway, just like freak me out. And I hate driving on those. And
I know just what you mean. Yes, since I'm the
I was
same.
doing something, and so I was driving with my knees, and I drove right off of it, and I was like plummeting down to trees, and I was like, "God, take me out of my body!" And I like yelled that, and then the next thing I knew, I was in a clothing store, and I remember, and like I was like with friends, and I remember thinking like, "Oh my God, I probably am in so much pain. How am I walking?" And I would be like, "Oh yeah, there's the pain." And they'd be like, "No, there's no pain there." And then I would like, "Oh yeah, it's in my hip." "No, there's no pain there." And like the whole time I was in the store, I was like just like trying to figure out what happened to all the pain that I should be feeling. It was so interesting. And obviously it was a dream, so it's not necessarily a near death, but it was just bizarre. So, I don't know.
It's funny that you say that because, with the knees, driving with the knees are about direction, right?
Oh,
So
have I
whenever
lost my
knees come
way?
into the play, yeah, no, no, it's just about, when you see those highways and byways, that often has to do with direction. Might be choices coming up or change of direction. However, I will tell you that more than once I have dreamt with communicating with the spirit world and those very same, like more than once. And it's not only me. There have been other people talk about it too. They talk about the overpasses, and I know exactly what you're talking about because I've had the
Whoa,
same
that's so
dreams.
weird because yeah, I've like been
Uh-huh.
somewhere before that's had overpasses like that before.
Yeah,
That's so
yeah.
interesting.
That and a mall is often where I connect with spirit. So it looks like a mall. So I'm not actually going in the stores, but I'll go back to the same place that is like it's like the corridors of the mall. And
Yes.
the corridors, like there's like different things in different directions. And the one time that I remember so clearly, I've probably told this one before too, but it was spirit was showing me, many spirits were showing me how they were communicating with their loved ones on earth. And they were showing me these like tables. So all these corridors, and then you'd look at the end of the corridors and there'd be like a door and there'd be light coming from the door around it. So it's like you had to push the door to go further. But all around in these corridors are these big tables and these screens, and these screens, like the spirit people, and I knew they were spirit people because they look different. In the dreams, they always have a little bit of a opaque type look to them, just slightly, but they still are all in form, and they're all leaning over, which looks like these. Do you ever remember old arcade games that were like the table with the
Michelle,
screen
I've
with the
seen those
button?
before in a dream. I
Okay, so
swear I did a life review with a spirit and we did it on one of those tables. We sat down at the
yes,
table and then we like looked into it and saw his
yes,
light.
yes, yes.
Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
I know. And it was like I didn't see like a joystick, but it was like that idea, right? And it had
Yeah.
like like a screen, and we were all leaning over, and I was watching, and they could see what their family was doing. They could like they were right with them. It's just crazy. That is crazy that you've seen that too.
That is so
Yeah.
crazy.
I've got pictures of it. I
'Cause
had to
I
sketch
was always
pictures
like,
the
I've
next
never
morning.
heard of a what? What?
I've got pictures. I'll have to get them sometime so we can put them up. I've sketched pictures of
Yeah.
like the corridors and what it all looks like.
I have
Hmm.
to say that is the one skill I wish I was good at after like opening up because there's so much that you see and like there's nothing to describe it. So like
I,
you want to draw
I
it, you
know.
know? Like you're
Yes,
so
that
lucky.
is how that is how I have sorted out a majority of what I do is is drawing it so I have like a photograph. It's like having a
Yeah.
photograph to go back to so that I
Yeah.
can go back, and because there'll be things that I would forget, right? You can't retain all of this. Certain things you never forget, but there's
Yeah.
so much that happens in the course of our journey that I'll often say to people, I wish I had like a screen here that I could plug my consciousness into so that you could see because I'm very visual. So they give me so much visual stuff, like
Yeah.
flashes and different things. I wish that screen could image what was coming through. Maybe someday there'll be some technology for that. But then again, we won't need it by then because we'll all be so connected with each other that it won't matter. But
That's right.
yeah.
Well, thank you for
So,
this wonderful talk, Michelle. I really
oh,
appreciate it.
no
I'll put that
problem.
interview. Hopefully I can.
Yeah.
I would imagine I can. Um,
Yes.
in our
I
show
love
notes.
that.
If
I'm
not,
going
I'll
to
just
check that
reference
out.
it. Yes, and I will
Yeah.
send it to you for sure.
Okay.
So thank you so
Perfect.
much for meeting
You're
with
very
me
welcome.
today
Thank
and all of
you.
us.
Thank
All
you.
right. Have a great week,
Okay.
everyone.
Bye,
Thanks for
everybody.
listening.
Have a happy week. Bye, Maren.
Bye.